I'd like to call to order the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. We have the minutes from the last meeting. I'm looking for approval. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. For the record, let it be shown that all members are present with the exception of Ms. Amobian. We have one item coming before us. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee, without the formality of publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract with Official Payments Corporation for online credit card payment acceptance, online e-check acceptance, and interactive voice response payment abilities for the Utilities and Income Tax Divisions, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Fricker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this legislation concerns our online credit card payments, both for our Public Utilities Bureau and also our Income Tax Division. So we, for years, have had a contract with Official Payments Corporation, and they process the online payments for our water, sewer, and curb service bills. And the contract, so we are setting up a new one-year contract that will allow us to add our Income Tax Division to those payment collections, so that when Akron citizens e-file their tax returns with us, they can actually pay their credit card online. We used to do that years ago, but we have not had online payments within our tax division for several years. Okay. So this would allow us to add the tax division onto those credit card payments. In addition, with this new contract renewal, we are changing the payment structure of the fees associated with those credit card transactions. So the city in our water department has been eating the $1.95 fee for credit card payments and the 70-cent fee for e-check payments since that contract was set up several years ago, and we're proposing that we now pass that fee on to the customers that choose to pay by credit card or e-check. And what this will do is allow our water department, which, is, you're all aware, is challenged, especially in the wintertime, with what could be dozens of main breaks a week, to be able to have a little bit of additional revenue to invest in the infrastructure of our water system.
Why did we in the beginning even take upon ourselves, because usually when I use a credit card or an e-check for whatever, I'm usually charged.
So typically most cities do pass that charge on. For whatever reason, back several years ago, we chose, I think because we wanted to make it easy for our customers, we chose to pay that fee ourselves. But with our water system, the challenges that we have in maintaining that system, we feel like we can no longer absorb that fee.
Okay, so this is for utilities and tax, and my other question was, okay, I know how I pay my utilities. And okay. How will we notify folks, hey, heads up, there's going to be another charge on this?
Yeah, we will go through a public relations,
okay.
Some things online, postings, to let people know that the fee would change.
Okay. Questions or comments? Ms. Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what we're actually adding is a fee to both. We're adding the tax when they pay their taxes.
Correct, and they'll be structured a little bit differently. So for the water payments, the fee that we've been paying for the past several years, which is $1.95, it will be $1.95 per transaction for a credit card, 70 cents for an e-check. For the income tax payments, it will be 2.25% of whatever the transaction amount is for a credit card, and then 70 cents for an e-check.
And we're just going to do that one for a year with the tax?
We're doing a one-year contract,
just
correct.
See if it works and work on any
Correct,
bugs.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. One thing I would like to point out is there are a number of options for paying your utility bill that do not have a fee associated with them. So, for instance, you can mail your payment in. You can select a direct deposit withdrawal from your bank account. There's no charge with that. You can drop off your payment either in our Public Utilities office or in the drop box that's outside of the city center.
And no fee on the auto withdrawal, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? What would be your pleasure? Consent?
Consent, yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion for consent? Motion and a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll see this item's placed on the consent agenda, and we will call this meeting. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
One more word.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up our personal conversation. Last week we had discussion about the Balancing Act software. Went through my notes, found, actually we've been talking about the budget and how to get a better understanding of the budget for almost 3 years now. July 2017, when it was first brought in, the concern was folks liked it, but it wasn't time. We didn't have a budget item for it. When we actually passed the legislation in March, April of this year, we knew we had the free trial. The question was, how were we going to pay for it? Identified a way to pay for it. Then the question was, well, who's going to install it? So I'm here today to say that that question's been answered. Pulled up the supporting documentation, one of the many emails that were sent out on the piece that has in writing where the companies would assist in installing the legislation. So, it was, I believe, Madam President, you said it's on me to find out how we're going to do that. After looking through this and finding even in one email where it can be installed in a few hours, and after being contacted by some residents that have interest, even outside of those who already knew, I'll take the responsibility to install the information into the software. And then, Mr. Hoke, you asked a good question last week about if we like it, do we have to pay the $10,000 the $8,500 every year? Going back and looking at the supporting documentation, the Balancing Act Pro piece is under $2,500 a year. The tax receipt piece, which allows citizens to see how their tax dollars are broken down over, expenses, is another $2,500. We don't have to continue that piece if we find that we like this and we want to be conservative. The meeting mode piece is about $1,200, which I think is crucial, because as we look for ways to engage citizen participation, if you look at all the best practice information that's out there, tools like this, especially now that cities are moving towards smart city models, where cities are gleaning more information on the residents, to give folks even comfort and confidence with that, the more you can engage them, the more transparent a city can be in every aspect, comforts folks with the smart model concept. And we know that sooner, hopefully rather than later, we will be moving more towards a true smart city. So out of last week's meeting, I believe we've addressed now all the concerns. We found a way to fund it. It's a budget cycle. We've got 3 ways to fund it now. Because I even went back to our notes when we looked at the My Neighborhood Our Akron grant, because I had some concerns when we pulled $10,000 out of the grant to put to the reading program, because we had already cut the grant program from $100,000 down to, at that time, $40,000. And in some of those notes, colleague Mr. Fusco even mentioned about how we can find other money. So I know Councilman Mosley Samples, who isn't here, had a concern about taking money from the grant program. I still don't think, even though it's nice to see we have some more applications coming in, I still don't think we're going to exhaust all of those funds. But if we do, I think we need to follow up on what we said when we took the $10,000 out for the reading program, find those other dollars if there are other grant programs that need to be satisfied. So just for my colleagues, I know we're off next week. When we come back, I'll bring in another piece. I'll send out some more information for those who want it in regards to, so the piece that we passed in March or April, whatever it was, to exercise first the free trial and see if we, if it works, we can utilize, because the funding's been identified, who's going to install it's been identified. So just wanted to let folks know now, so if there's any further questions or concerns, they can be directed to me, and I can make sure that I get answers to those questions. Because like I said, by the time we get this installed, it's going to be probably late January, mid to late January, right on time for us to engage citizens with our regular budget cycle. So thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, we will adjourn at 3:10. Thank you.